cars. Start your engines!
It's MRN Motorsports Monday, the place for the latest news and loudest opinions, direct from the guys at the track. Presented by Outback Steakhouse. The stories, views, and opinions expressed on MRN Motorsports Monday are not likely shared by anyone, anywhere. Results may vary, so you should talk to your doctor before watching.
What's up, Doc?
Today's episode is brought to you by Hercules Tire.
Pace car is up.
Here's Woody Cain.
Oh boy, am I glad to see you guys!
I knew you'd come back, Woody.
And Joey Meier.
Just a reminder, if you're asking me a question on the radio, just keep talking till I answer it for you, all right?
Welcome to MRN Motorsports Monday, presented by Outback Steakhouse. After the races at Sonoma and Iowa Speedway, I'm Woody Cain, he's Joey Meier, and that, back for a year again, is Kyle Petty as NASCAR on NBC gets set to take over. Are you eager? Are you ready to rock and roll?
I am ready. And I know it sounds crazy because I'm a bum, but I am ready to go to work. I've not done anything. I do NASCAR America, which is the weekly show for NBC. Do that, but I'm ready to be back at a racetrack. I like going to the racetrack. I like being around the people. That's why my dad's 80 years old. That's the only reason he goes, is just to see the cars and be around the people. Obviously, he doesn't drive or that part of it, but it's just being around racing people.
And speaking of racing people, won yesterday out in Sonoma, Kevin Harvick, and that means, since a win is obviously a top 10 finish, tell them what it means.
Free bloomin' onion.
Free.
You show up, they give you an onion. That's pretty cool.
Check them out at Outback Steakhouse.
Cool.
Great lunch specials as well. How about that? That's a great promotion all year long. Any top 10 finish.
That is a killer promotion, but when you've got a driver like Kevin Harvick, you got to be questioning, why did I run this promotion? Because it seems like every week it is a Kevin Harvick free bloomin' onion.
It's going to empty your bank account sooner or later.
It.
Are you surprised that he hasn't won up until now?
A little bit. Yes, I am. I tell you what, when they came out of Daytona and then went to Atlanta and we went to those first 2 or 3 races, I thought, man, this Ford transition didn't do anything to slow down, Rodney and Kevin. Didn't do anything at all. They were still up there in the top 4 or 5. So, and then they just things just weren't working out. And you think, ooh, maybe there is something there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But they were still knocking on that door, man. And if you knock on that door week in and week out, it's going to open up for you.
And that's how Joey does when he gets to the studio. He just stands out there and bangs on the door until we let him
they
in.
open the door.
Perfect.
Sooner or later, we have to let him in just to make him quit knocking. That's the way it works. What did you think of yesterday's race? You guys came away with a podium finish and not too shabby, huh?
We went into the weekend having very low expectations, and we thought we wouldn't meet those. But we did a really, really good job, Brad. Paul Wolf was off this weekend. Congratulations to their family. Had a baby girl, Haley.
When was she actually born?
Thursday night.
Thursday night.
8 pounds, 15 ounces. That's a nice.
Wow.
Yep. Yep. So the both baby, mama, and husband are all home doing good. So we had Brian Wilson sitting on the box, guiding the 2-car all weekend.
He's a been there, done that guy.
And we really attacked the weekend in a different manner. Brad drove an amazing race. It was one of his better weekends.
Yeah.
And Sears Point, Sonoma Raceway is no longer on his list of bad tracks. Again, a podium finish, top 3 finish was fantastic. But what an unusual weekend when you talk about 3 race winners, and one of them was a 2-time winner, right? Mm-hmm. And it wasn't Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, how about that?
He gets his first win of 2017. We have a first-time winner with William Byron, who set the truck series on fire last year. He was kind of a little late. He
and got all the buzz for finishing second the week before.
The week before to a car that was encumbered. We just get to use that word. It's so awesome.
You just like saying it.
Encumbered, exactly right.
Oh, you like it too? Here we go.
And then John Hunter, who we talked before coming on the air, was canceling their hotel rooms for Kentucky. Didn't have a sponsor past Michigan. They come on board. John Hunter tells his dad, let me race these races. I can win them.
Yeah.
And he does, and he wins 2 in a row. So it's a very unusual, very cool weekend for racing.
Yeah, one thing to say it, another thing to back it up.
Oh, yeah.
Before we take a break here, we've got a big show for you on Motorsports Monday. We're going to talk with Kyle about the charity ride, about what he had going on in Cars 3, the new movie out, and about NASCAR on NBC coming up. But as we head to break here, let's hear what Kevin Harvick had to say about his first ever victory in the Cup Series at Sonoma.
Finally, everything went right in a really fast Mobil 1 Ford. Today I felt like we had one of the best 2 cars, and the other car fell out of the race in Martin Truex, and we were able to take control of the race at that point and had a good lead to manage our car, and were able to not have any cautions, and it all worked out.
How close were you on fuel at the end? Do you know yet?
I don't think it was as close as they made it sound. I think they were just nervous that we didn't want to run out of fuel with, having such a big lead. So we definitely tried to pace ourselves to make sure that we didn't take any chances.
On the bucket list, you had like 4 you hadn't won at coming in. How big is this one in particular?
Well, it's in my home state, so close to home. I've run here since 1995 in something. And to be able to come to Victory Lane at the highest level of NASCAR racing is really cool for me, and you can check that off the list.
I'm not blooming good, I'm blooming great. Put a shrimp on the barbie and sizzle my steak. Woo, I want that onion to bloom, and it get in my senses like a sonic boom. No rules, just right. So bold, so nice, and I'm so ready for that Outback steak tonight. Outback Steakhouse, that's what it's all about. Outback Steakhouse, blooming great.
Citywide to countryside, whatever you drive, wherever you go. Hercules Tires has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there, no matter where the road takes you. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
Where will you be when NASCAR comes to Chicago's fastest loop? 4 days of racing, tailgating, camping, and music come to Chicagoland Speedway September 14th through the 17th. Tickets for Sunday Chicagoland 400 are available now. Camping spots are available and selling fast. All kids tickets $25 off adult price and free on certain race days. Get your tickets and campsite now at ChicagolandSpeedway.com. Chicagoland Speedway, the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series playoffs start here.
I'm Dale Earnhardt Jr., and you're listening to MRN Motorsports Monday with Joey Meier and Woody Cain.
Yeah.
All right, we're back.
Yeah,
we should hear the conversation we had
live.
while the commercials are going on.
Yeah.
Those are maybe as good as the ones we're going to have on the air. We're talking about Kevin Harvick's big win at Sonoma over the weekend. We also mentioned earlier William Byron gets his first Xfinity Series win after getting all the buzz the week before for nearly winning against Denny Hamlin, and now he has the encumbered finish. And then John Hunter Nemechek makes it 2 in a row. So, Kyle, let's start with you as NASCAR on NBC gets ready to come back this week at Daytona. With this new stage racing thing, what do you think about what we've seen through the first 15 races or so?
I enjoy the stage racing. I really do. And I got to be honest, when they, I'm a purist in a lot of ways, obviously, because my grandfather did this, my father did. So it's like, what do you mean you're going to put stage races in? What do you mean you're going to change? You're just going to throw a caution just to have a caution and throw a green and white checkered flag. What the crap does that mean? You know what I mean? And then you see it and you go, oh yeah, that's really pretty cool. That's really pretty cool. So I think it has changed, and it's changed, and Joey knows it's changed. You see so many different strategies. I mean, golly, you see guys that'll stay out. You see guys that'll gamble to get a stage win, knowing they're going to lose all their track position. In a sport where track position is king, you're willing to give it up in that first segment, especially the first segments. The first segments, there's a lot more gambling going on.
And you might give that one up completely to try and get the next one.
So it's a crazy deal, but I think it's been good. The points, as we were talking about the points, I mean, Truex with 21 stage points is crazy. If he wins, he's pretty much guaranteed all the way to Homestead when you look at it. Jimmy Johnson has close to the same points, and he's only won one race, or only had one stage win, but he's had other wins. So there's different ways of gaming the system, and these guys have kind of figured out. Wins are still important.
They'll figure it out pretty quick, won't
they? Wins
Yeah.
are still king. Wins are going to be king. And as we were talking, you know, you got guys that have taken up in the past. There's been 13 winners and 3 guys on points. We've got 3 new winners already this year that have taken up those points positions. So can these guys, I mean, it took, Kevin until yesterday to get his win. You know what I mean? And like Joey said, there's going to be somebody on the outside looking in.
Still got Kyle Busch, still got Denny Hamlin, still got Matt Kenseth, still got Dale Jr.
Yes.
Those are all potential winners between now and the time we get to Richmond.
Yeah, and every time that Truex wins or Jimmy Johnson wins or now Kevin Harvick wins, circle gets the square, man. It's a block. It's a block.
It's one less that somebody else can get.
It's one less that somebody can get. So, I mean, it's crazy. So I think, you know, coming back at this point in time in the season for NBC is a pretty exciting time to be coming back into the sport to be able to get us to that chase point or the playoff point.
Yep, stage racing was brand new for 2017, along with our second lower downforce package. Has it been as effective as they thought it would be?
No, I don't believe so. I mean, you see it more than as much as anybody from up on the spotter stand. You know what I mean? Here's the thing. You know what I mean? And it's so funny because I go back and watch a lot of old races, and my dad's got a lot of old races and stuff, and you watch them, and you watch those old 74 Chargers and those old Monte Carlos from the late 70s and early 80s, and you think, that's a low downforce package, dude.
Yes.
You know what I mean? A low downforce package is when you go to Daytona, okay, and you lay that spoiler down to 5 degrees and you throw up in a garbage can and then you get in and go qualify. That's a low downforce package, okay? So even though we have a reduced downforce package, I'm not going to call it a low downforce package.
Lower, maybe.
Yes. Yeah. And the thing is, you know, you watch those old races, you see a guy go in the corner and he goes in behind somebody and the car gets loose and he works it and there's a little smoke coming off the right rear and it's Earnhardt tooling around somebody on the outside. That's racing. You know, right now, we still get the aero push. You still get dirty air. You still clean air is still king. Track position is still important. Until we get to a point where we minimize that. I don't think we're ever going to eliminate it, but minimize that with lower and lower downforce. Then it'll come back to what it should be. But I think it has been better some places.
Yeah.
I think there has been some
better
better
races
racing there that it does.
I think one of my issues, I stand on the roof and watch, is we saw the exaggerated problem at Michigan.
Yeah.
Where we took away the downforce, but the tire was so good.
Yeah.
Goodyear has a problem trying to create a tire that's going to race but not blow out at 212 miles an hour. And we saw the epitome of that where one car, the 77 with Eric Jones, ran 4 fuel stints on left side tires. So there's that balancing act. I think they have their work cut out for them as well.
This is what I love. This is what I love. I'm NASCAR, and I make a rule change, and I say, hey, Goodyear, save me. Save me. Come up with a tire and save me. I made a rule change over here, but you need to come up. And I'm going to go back and listen. I'm not living in the past, and this is not what I'm saying. But if you go back to the 80s and early 90s, we only had 5 or 6 tires. We had a Daytona right side and a Daytona left side. And then when you went to Talladega, the right side of Daytona was the left side at Talladega, and then you had a right side, a brand new right side. There's 3 tires for 2 super speedways. You had an intermediate tire, you had a short track tire, and that's about it. You know what I mean? And you run those same tires at Charlotte and Dover and places like that. You know, you had to make your car work on that tire. Now we're into a game where we make the tire work on that car at that track.
Right.
There's a Michigan tire, there's an Atlanta tire, there's a Texas tire, there's a Chicago, and that is complicated. That's complicated for Goodyear. That's complicated for the teams too. That is complicated for the teams, whether they want to admit it or not. To have all of that data and to have to run that stuff, that is a complication for the teams. But the downforce and the aero package has dictated a lot of that.
Well, let me ask both of you this then. Is it something as simple as what you hear people suggesting, get the cars up off the ground a little bit more? Is it that simple?
You know, I don't think there's anything simple. You didn't get here simply, and you're not going to back out simple. You know what I mean? I mean, it is a maze. If you said we were here in 1980, and then we were here in 90, and here in 2000, and here in 2017, we got there like this. You know what I mean? And there's no straight way back. There is no straight way back.
The minute we raise the cars off the ground, the technology makes you forced to spend money to get them back on the ground. The technology, when I started in 97, which I'm a late bloomer compared to you guys, a spring was a spring. You know, it had a rate, and that was it, and you bought a spring. Now you have springs that rate in 3 different ways and different travels and different pigtails, and the technology of a simple race car spring, which are essentially outlawed at your local short tracks because they don't want these late model guys running a $2,000 spring, which should cost $200 or $300. So it's hard for these guys to unlearn, and that's the box that NASCAR has been put in.
Let's transition a little bit now. What can we expect coming up this year with NASCAR on NBC? You guys really had a fantastic year a year ago, but you're kicking everything off at Daytona. What can we expect to see this year?
Hopefully bigger and better. Everything. I think this is our 3rd year. Coming off the first year, we wanted to up our game a little bit with Rick and Rick. I think Rick and Jeff and Steve Letarte do a great job in the booth. Great job in the booth. I honestly believe that you could set the booth on fire around Jeff Burton and he would still have the same voice and be just as calm. It doesn't make any difference. And Rick does a great job of leading, and Letarte does a great job of explaining and understanding because he's just off the box within the last year or so. So that is, to me, that's incredibly cool. Marty and Kelly and Burns and those guys on pit road are as good as they are. Dale Jarrett is the guy. He and Chris Devoto. I have the opportunity to set him between them.
How about his son getting drafted by the Orioles,
how
by
about
the way?
That was incredible.
Yeah.
It blew him up on, I think everybody, finally he was like, stop texting me. You know what I mean? I'm good with this. I'm good with it.
That's right.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That is, and I don't know if you saw it. We had it on NBC where they show, when they drafted him, they put up a picture on the internet and stuff, and they put up a picture of Dale with his mustache and then Zach with his, and it was like, oh my God, that apple didn't fall too far from the tree, but it was like a throwback kind of shot. But I think some of the stuff that we're going to do this year, some of the stuff that will be coming out this year that's not been seen on TV before, that from camera angles to things we're doing, is going to be an exciting year for NBC.
All right, got a lot more to come here on MRN Motorsports Monday. Stick with us. We'll talk about last weekend's races at Sonoma and Iowa and look ahead to this weekend's action coming up at Daytona.
On Friday, June 30th, the Professional Fighters League makes its debut at the Daytona International Speedway. Admission to the fight is included with your ticket to the Xfinity Series race on Friday night, the Coca-Cola Firecracker 250. The battle in the cage will immediately follow the action on the track. MMA legend John Fitch takes on Brian Foster in the main event of the night. Championship Racing and Championship MMA back-to-back. Kick off your 4th of July weekend at the Daytona International Speedway with the Professional Fighters League.
I'm not blooming good, I'm blooming great. Put a shrimp on the barbie and sizzle my steak. Woo, I want that onion to bloom, and it get in my senses like a sonic boom. No rules, just right. So bold, so nice, and I'm so ready for that Outback steak tonight. Outback Steakhouse, that's what it's all about. Outback Steakhouse. Blooming great!
After more than 1 million hours of development, the truck of the future has arrived. The new Cascadia from Freightliner, inspired by science, driven by passion. It's loaded with driver-focused improvements, such as noise abatement technologies for an even quieter ride, an innovative wraparound dashboard for improved comfort, and a reimagined driver's lounge that promotes productivity and relaxation. Experience the new Cascadia at your dealer or online at Freightliner.com.
I'm Ryan Blaney, and you're listening to MRN Motorsports Monday with championship spotter Joey Meier and Woody Cain. Had world-class Joey Meier. I don't want to say that. It's on radio. You guys need to use that.
Take 2.
To MRN Motorsports Monday with championship spotter and adequate pilot Joey Meier and Woody Cain.
You know, Blaney loves calling you an adequate
Just
pilot.
adequate.
I
adequate.
get that.
I'm
I enjoy
adequate.
that.
That's to me. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm not until I'm not adequate.
It's better than being a bad pilot,
It's better
right?
than being inadequate. That's
well,
for
we
sure
don't want to go
as a
there.
pilot.
Hold on,
As a
now,
pilot.
hold on.
As a pilot.
Hey, before we get too deep in the weeds here, Cars 3 is out,
Cars
and
3.
You had a part in that. And what always is fascinating to me about when people do these animated movies, what I wonder is when they put you in a booth, do you see what your character's doing, or is it just cold?
No, it's cold, and that was the hard part. I have to say, even though I like running my mouth, it was funny. You go in a booth, and I went to Pixar on one occasion, which was really cool.
I bet.
An incredible place.
You're there.
Yeah, there it is. So went out there, but you go in a booth, and they're talking to you over the phone, and he says, now say it this way, and scream this or say this. And you're in a booth by yourself, and it's like, do you remember when your parents would send you to your room and you would make hand gestures behind the door and scream at them like they couldn't hear you? Well, that's kind of what you're doing. You're just screaming in a booth by yourself.
And if anybody saw you, they think you're nuts.
They think you're nuts. That's exactly right. But that's kind of the way it was. So that was, and they would play it back, and I'm like, that doesn't even sound like me.
Yeah.
So when my sister took my nephew and some of the kids went to see it, and I said, could you tell that was my voice? And my sister said, oh yeah, we knew it was you. We've heard you enough. We knew it was you.
Absolutely great. Go ahead.
Cal Weathers being the character for Cars
Yep.
3. Obviously a great kids movie, but on the other spectrum of that side, you were a part of one of the largest retirements back in 1992 with your father. Now we've seen Tony Stewart, we've seen Jeff Gordon, and now we have the retirement of Dale Earnhardt Jr. The industry still survives, but it gets affected. What do you see moving forward for 2018 now that we have all these young drivers coming in, but some of our superstars are walking away?
Okay, this is what I've said. we have this. It's a cyclical sport. This is a very cyclical sport. I think I do believe we're only in our second wave, even though the sport has been huge. My granddad and Ned and Junior and all the Junior Johnson.
Yeah.
When those guys, it was so sporadic. They would race and then go away, and they just disappeared. But then you had Pearson and Baker and the Allisons and Cale and my dad. All those people came along in the late 50s, early 60s, over a 4 or 5 year period. Yep. And they all went out between 1988 and 1992. If you look in the record book, they ran their last races over a 5 year period. Right. Some of them went out like my dad, and big hoopla and all this stuff.
Literally on fire.
Yeah, exactly, literally on fire.
Literally on fire.
And some of them just ran their last race and walked away.
Yeah.
And that was the way it was. But they were the big names in the golden era of the sport when you look at it. We've had Tony and Carl, which is an anomaly a little bit, but Tony and Gordon and now Junior. And we're just in a cycle where these guys are retiring now between 40 and 45. And we're going to see more of it. You've got a Kevin Harvick who's going to be in that age group. You've got a Matt Kenseth that's going to be in that age group. You've got a Jimmy Johnson that's in that age group. Over the next 4 or 5 years, we're going to look back at this part in time in the sport and say, hey, over a 7 or 8 year period, we lost all of our superstars. But what do we have? Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Lord Byron that won a race this weekend.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean? Yeah. Daniel Suarez, Kyle Larson, Joey Logano. My God, people
forget how young he is.
Joey Logano is 26 years old and has contended for a championship the last 2 or 3 years.
Right. Yeah.
We've already got superstars. Yep. You know what I mean? That are transitioned into it. In 20 years, we'll look back and you'll say, remember all those guys retired and they were pretty good and all this stuff, but it's not, we're just in the middle of it. Yeah. During other times in the sport, I think we've just had drivers come and go, but not a mass exodus over a 8 or 10 year period. I think we're going to see that this time, and it'll be just like the first one that we had. It's like the dinosaurs disappearing, you know what I mean?
Absolutely,
it was like, and we'll look at it that way.
Let's look ahead a little bit. We're heading to Daytona this weekend. We're going to have the Cup cars run at night on a Saturday night. Talked to Martin Truex Jr. about the situation there, and he talked about how stages are impacting super speedway racing in particular.
Stage racing at plate tracks has definitely changed it a lot. I feel like that there's a lot less, just putting yourself in position and trying to stay out of trouble. We definitely see a lot less guys riding in the back trying to stay out of the big wrecks. And it's more fun to race at plate tracks now because you can afford to risk it. You can afford to race hard. If you do get in an accident at some point in the race, hopefully it's, before that happened, you'd gotten some stage points. So it doesn't hurt quite as bad at the end of the day, finish-wise and points-wise. So there's an opportunity there to gain some points even if you get in a wreck at the end, which I think has been fun. It's been made the races there especially more interesting, I think. And that's, quite a big difference from any other track. I mean, it seems like it's made the most difference at the plate tracks than anything we've done.
So we saw the stages play out at a road course for the first time at Sonoma, and now we had the Daytona. And this guy knows a thing or two about these stage races. What do you guys think about how it plays out at Daytona this week?
The interesting thing about Daytona is it's one of the handful of tracks where you can pit and not lose a lap. Yeah. So if you're up front trying to get those points and winning that stage, you don't want to pit. But if you're in the back and you're 11th, 12th, and 13th, you can afford to come down pit road before it gets closed, get your fresh tires, and then stay out when those guys have to pit after the stage.
And then you're up front.
Yeah, and look, this Talladega race was a perfect example of how stage racing has changed. It
was really new for the Daytona 500.
It was new there. But when we go back to Talladega, think of how many times we've been to Talladega where it's like, there they are in line.
Yep, up against the
somebody
wall.
Wake me up when it gets down to the end. Yep. These guys raced.
Yeah.
These guys raced, man.
And like Truex said, the riding around in the back's pretty much done now.
Yeah, those guys went back there and then they were like, oh, that's not the best thing. So I think I agree with what Truex said, and it has changed speedway racing more than anything. And I go back to this. If you believe that stage racing hasn't changed the way the drivers think about it, that haven't changed the way the crew chiefs think about it, I still go back to the end of the segment at Martinsville where Steakhouse put the bumper to Kyle Busch.
To get a stage point.
To get back where he needed to be. And I'm like, that is what stage racing is all about right there.
That's kind of what makes it fun to watch for sure.
Yep.
We've got the Xfinity race coming up on Friday night. The Cup race will be on Saturday night at Daytona this weekend, and we've got a whole lot more coming up on MRN Motorsports Monday as we look forward to NASCAR on NBC transitioning to their coverage this weekend. Stick around with us, guys.
I'm Steve Letarte, STP auto expert and former crew chief. I know what it takes to keep engines performing at their best. STP's latest breakthrough additive, STP Ultra 5-in-1 plus Fuel System Cleaner plus Fuel Stabilizer, delivers 3 times the amount of cleaning agents versus premium gasoline and helps keep fuel fresh during storage. For over 60 years, STP has been on the cutting edge developing products to help engines run better, longer.
One bottle contains 3 times by weight the amount of cleaning agents compared to 20 gallons of the leading premium gasoline.
I'm not blooming good, I'm blooming great. Put a shrimp on the barbie and sizzle my steak. Woo, I want that onion to bloom, and it get in my senses like a sonic boom. No rules, just right. So bold, so nice, and I'm so ready for that Outback steak tonight. Outback Steakhouse, that's what it's all about. Outback Steakhouse, blooming great.
When the smoke settles, the entertainment never stops.
It's all a family sport.
On race weekends, your favorite NASCAR personality is an everyday superhero.
Brad Keselowski will win.
But when they leave the racetrack, they're just like everyone else.
We just have to find the value package that connects a new generation of fans.
I'm Susie Armstrong. Join me on a daily journey as we discuss the hot topics and engaging personalities of NASCAR Nation. Ned Jarrett's World of Racing, weekdays on the Motor Racing Network.
Hi, this is Martin Truex Jr. You're listening to MRN Motorsports Monday with Joey Meier, number 2, and Woody Cain. He would always call me number 1, so I call him number 2. You want to do a real one now?
Good old number 2.
Good old number
here,
number two. Number 2. That's exactly right.
You wanted to talk a little Iowa.
You know, the interesting thing about Iowa is we go there. It's one of the unique tracks that was designed by a race car driver, Rusty Wallace, after Richmond. We saw 2 fantastic races, very wide. William Byron taking his first win. John Hunter Nemechek 2 in a row. What a fantastic finish. A unique situation. NASCAR, not ISC, SMI, and all these other entities own Iowa. Will they ever get a Cup race?
That's a good question. But first I got to say this. I always laugh when we talk about Rusty designing Iowa and Darrell designing Kentucky. Because it's like a race car driver designing a racetrack. Let me do it. Oh, there it was. I just designed one. Woo, I made a circle.
It's not like a golf course.
Whoa, I made a circle. There, I designed the racetrack. I always love that.
Yes. Oh, my gosh.
But, I don't know. That's a market that we don't get close to, honestly. When you start talking Des Moines. Des
Moines is a cool town.
Yeah, when you start, it is a cool town. It's a very cool town and a cool area. So it's a market we're not in. But it's not, when I look at it sometimes, I compare it, and I'm sorry, I compare it to Rockingham, where we're not.
Right.
I compare it to Wilkesboro, where we're not. You know what I mean? It seems to be in that market. When we started, we used to race racetracks. Then we started racing markets. Kansas, Kentucky because of Cincinnati and some of that stuff. So we started racing markets. I'm not sure that market can support it, a Cup venture. I think the racetrack could. Even though the infrastructure may not be where it needs to be, my God, we still going in and out of Pocono on a dirt road. You know what I mean?
That's
so
true.
Let's look at it. You know what I mean? That's the toughest place in the world. Michigan's not the easiest racetrack to get to when even in the area it is. So infrastructure is one thing, but I think the surrounding area and whether that area can support it is key. And when they look at it and say this is an important market, then we'll go there.
Think we'll tiptoe into it with like an all-star race?
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Now, see, that would be cool. That would be jamming to just take it somewhere totally off the grid.
Right.
Basically.
Normally, I think he's crazy, but that's not that bad.
That's not that
bad.
Cool
I like racing the All-Star race at some place we don't race on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And
see, and I have to throw this out since you threw the All-Star. I just think the All-Star race has outgrown its usefulness and shouldn't be run at all.
Yeah.
And I'm just
well, I mean,
saying,
people say this or that about our All-Star race.
I see the All-Stars every week. I see the same.
Right. But I mean, who plays defense in the NBA All-Star game? They're scoring 200 points.
Yeah. Why is the All-Star race different? Except the amount of money that you win.
Right.
Why, you know what I mean?
It's more of a celebration.
I would like to see everybody every time you run a segment, drivers have to draw another peel and Joey gets out of the 22 car and he has to get in the 48.
Oh,
Jimmy gets out of the 48 and he has to get, you know what I mean? Make the drivers change and work with a different crew chief and work with a different group.
Now that shows some skill if you can do that.
Yeah, make it change. And then you have a driver who wins the thing and a team, a car that wins the same thing. If I'm Paul Wolf and can put my car with 3 different drivers over 3 different segments and make them run up front and win, I win the segment as a crew chief and as a team.
That's something
you,
special.
You win the
right
All-Star
there.
race as a driver, somebody else. I'm talking totally rewrite it.
Yeah. Make it crazy.
Let's do something different.
Go completely off the grid.
Let's do
with
the
it.
gong show.
Yeah.
Let's do
I like
gong
that.
show,
That's
man.
a fantastic idea. Hey, we got just about a minute left, but before we wrap up, I wanted to ask you about the Kyle Petty charity ride because it was hugely successful.
Huge. Yeah, huge this year. We raised $1.3 million. I think we've raised $18 million in the 23 years we've done this. We rode in snow. We rode in rain. We went to Mount Rushmore and it was so foggy we couldn't see it. I mean, that's a better story than going to Mount Rushmore and saying you saw it. But it was incredible. My wife Morgan looks after everything, but it was an incredible ride this year. George Rogers, Herschel Walker, 2 Heisman Trophy winners went with us.
They didn't bring the trophy, did they?
No, but they stood around like this a lot. You know?
At each other.
Yeah, at each other. So it was pretty cool. This was a great year for the charity ride. And they're doing a special on it on Thursday night at 10 o'clock on Camp and on NBC SN. There's a special on Camp and on the charity ride.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Good deal to see.
Thanks.
Go.
No, we've got 20 seconds
No, I
left.
thought you had something to finish us off with there.
I got somebody in my ear going, hey.
I'll say we're out of here.
Let's head to Daytona. We got Xfinity racing on Friday night. We've got Cup racing on Saturday night. Make sure you catch all the action right here on the Motor Racing Network. We'll see you next week.
MRN Motorsports Monday is presented by Outback Steakhouse. Tune in every Monday for another exciting episode right here on MRN.com. Brought to you by Hercules Tires. MRN Motorsports Monday is also available on demand in MRN.com's Media Center, on our Facebook page, on YouTube, and in iTunes or the Google Play Store. MRN Motorsports Monday is a production of the Motor Racing Network.